counties in the state to get a database of addresses. And that is important for broadband planning because we really need to focus on the address level if we're talking about residential data access. And let me back up here. I should say that when providers give us their data, I mean, you're talking about a provider giving us data for maybe the whole state, for example, and not just an individual city. So they have to aggregate the data to protect, subscribers' privacy. And so we get that data on a census block level. And in Salt Lake City, where I live, that is a simple city block. It's a number of houses within that city block. And so if some have service in that city block, the whole block will show up as served. Well, that becomes more of an issue when we're looking at rural areas where census blocks can be huge. You're talking about miles and miles and miles, and if one house is served within that rural block, then the whole area shows up as served. So what we've done is we've been dialing down the data, so when a census block is larger than 2 square miles, we create what are called road segments and sort of target service on a given road, but we're trying to dial down even further in rural areas. Most tribes have not been asked for address level data at this point, but we'd like to go ahead and start making those asks to you. So if you're a tribe who has address level data or would like to work with our state GIS agency to get an address database for your own purposes, so you can look at broadband availability. So you can use it for public safety, for example, for deployment of emergency services. That's something that we've been able to give to our state 911 committee, through the funding of this grant. So each dot that you're looking at is a household. So the blue dots represent households that have some level of broadband service within, the area, the Utah area of the Navajo Reservation. But the red dots are households, they're address points that do not have any service. So you can see the disparity here. There are 3 main areas that the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, is focused on in terms of Native American affairs right now. On the broadcast side of things, on August 20th, the FCC will be hosting a webinar regarding tribes who want to apply for FM radio stations. There's also the Tribal Mobility Fund. That is for mobile wireless services. In December, there will be a reverse auction that will come online. So basically lets people or tribes that are eligible telecommunications carriers, this is getting way too complicated, that they can apply to get money to serve unserved areas for mobile wireless services. There has also been a recent obligation that has come online for telecom companies who are receiving federal funds to work directly with tribal leaders. So if you are a tribal leader and you've been getting contacted by telecom companies because they might be looking to expand services in your area or looking for opportunities to expand services in your area, that's because of this recent requirement by the Federal Communications Commission to do so. So if you ever are contacted by a telecom company and you would like help sort of navigating, the lingo, the alphabet soup, I guess I call it, of what they're asking, or you would like more information, you can always contact our office, and we're happy to be a liaison wherever that makes sense with telecom companies. On October 24th, we're hosting a Broadband Tech Summit, and we're hosting this summit in Provo at the new Utah Valley Convention Center. That's the one right downtown. We would encourage tribes to participate. We'll have special sessions dedicated to topics that really affect broadband access in rural areas. So there's my contact information, tthui@utah.gov. That's my email. You can always reach us on Twitter as well, @UtahBroadband. Please visit our website, sign up for the newsletter, and we hope to hear from you soon.
Our goal is to reach out and better understand what the needs are and then apply programs to the need, not apply programs where we think the need is. And it's a subtle word, it's a subtle change, but it's a big difference in action. So real briefly going through what the governor's laid out for our office. He wants to lead the nation as the best form of economy to be recognized as a premier global destination. And I think to some extent in our urban areas we've done that, and we have lots of rankings to prove that. The governor's staff all carry green cards, which I'm sure Tara's got buried somewhere in a briefcase, but on the back are tremendous amounts of accolades as to why you would move your global business to the state of Utah. And then the third one was, what are your 3 biggest opportunities? And what we carved even out of just that basic survey was one question that we needed answered, and it's, what do you want to accomplish and how can we help? And so that's the first thing that this person's going to do. What do you want to accomplish and how can we help? Now, if this is a long-term issue where we're talking about federal legislation and saving a grouse or land swaps or big issues, right, that will go into Lynn Fielding's lap, the program director, to work with the legislature on doing that, because we know that would take time. But if it's a small thing, like when we get up to Garden City up by Bear Lake, their big problem is their town goes from 2,000 people to 50,000 people over the course of 3 months during the summer when everybody goes to go water skiing and hang out at Bear Lake. Well, the emergency services that they use for 9 months are the same emergency services that they use for those 3 months, which is literally someone working in an office, they get a phone call, there's a car accident, he's a paramedic, he runs over, grabs the truck, goes out, helps the person, takes him over to Cache Valley, the hospital, and then goes back to work. And what they're finding is that their needs are becoming greater than their system can do. So their simple request is, we need a full-time fireman. That's all they want, is a full-time fireman. And so rather than us talk about economic development plans, and rather than us talk about theories on what would work in a regional community or what's worked in other places or best practices, they just want a fireman. So our job now is to find a fireman there, because they've answered the question on what they want. And we will be measured as an office on whether we deliver the fireman or not. So this office will report to the Governor's Rural Partnership Board. It'll also report to the GOED Board. Spencer Cox, who chairs the Governor's Rural Partnership Board, also sits on the Governor's Economic Council. And those are really big words and really big committees. But basically what it means is we have a mechanism and a vehicle that has not been used, but it's been in place in statute to communicate those needs all the way up to the top. And my intent, the intent of rural Utah, is everybody's going to get their one question answered. And some people are more aggressive on getting their questions answered, so they want to get to number 4 and 5 because they're going to keep working hard. We're not moving forward until everybody's number 1 is answered. So we're going to bring, for that last county or that last tribe, we're going to bring the resources of the entire state, because nobody's moving on to their number 2 until they solve your number 1. So these are how we interact with business currently in rural and other places. We have the small business development centers, and those are to help you write a business plan. They're not located fully throughout the state, but we have pretty good penetration, and they'll travel to any corner of the state to help. PTAC, one of the benefits for tribes is in the awarding of government contracts, you have a little bit of an upper hand in terms of the award. So PTAC is the Procurement Technical Assistance Centers, and they can help you if you have a business that, pick it, you make floor mats, for instance, or you make unmanned aerial systems, whatever it is. The federal government, municipalities, and others will come out with federal, state, and municipal contracts, and that goes into a system called bid match. And if you filled out a form through PTAC and you've said, I am a unmanned aerial systems engineer, when something comes up by your NACE code that identifies that's work you could do, you automatically get a bid. And then our system and our staff will help you fill out that bid and apply to get the work. They've been very successful. They do about $500 million worth of work and awards a year across a couple hundred companies. So that's definitely something I would encourage you to look into. I'll give you my email and address. Fred Lang runs that program. They're all available on Utah. What's that?
Chuck's here.
Okay, so Chuck's here at the summit, and Chuck Spence, you can look for him. Business.utah.gov or www.utah.gov, and then go to business and look for PTAC. You'll see all the contract information. You start TCIPs for technology commercialization. So if you have someone that's come with a really great idea that's pretty high-end in technology or needs high-end technology, we have facilities and staff all the way up to tenured 30-year professors to help you and assist you with your technology and your commercialization.